the subtle erosion begins unnoticed, a silent betrayal of the body's fundamental harmony, leaving us heavy, burdened, and slowly losing vital energy. This isn't merely an inconvenience, it's a profound disconnection many fail to acknowledge. Most seek fleeting remedies, but 99% miss the profound singular principle that holds the key to true release. Skip this wisdom, and you risk not only losing your physical lightness, but severing the deep connection to your inner vitality, leaving you adrift from your own powerful capacity for self-mastery. Inner climate. Observe the natural world, and you will see that every external manifestation is a direct reflection of an internal condition. The vibrancy of a flourishing garden or the barrenness of parched earth speaks of its unseen inner climate. So it is with the human form. When we speak of challenges like a rising inner sweetness beyond what is healthy, or an increasing density in the internal waters, or an accumulation of external form beyond natural proportion, we are in essence describing imbalances within our deep internal climate. These physical conditions, what society labels as specific ailments, are not isolated occurrences that strike randomly, but rather outward whispers, sometimes roars, of an internal system seeking recalibration. This inner climate is not merely physical, it is intricately woven with our mental states, our emotional patterns, and the very flow of our energy. Chronic tension, unresolved thought patterns, an unresting mind, these all contribute to a subtle but persistent disquiet within. This disquiet often manifests as disruption in the most fundamental processes: how we absorb life's sustenance, how we utilize its energy, and how we release what no longer serves us. The body, being exquisitely sensitive, communicates this disruption in ways that are clear if only we cultivate the discipline to truly listen, to truly observe. Consider the feeling of heaviness or the mind feeling clouded. These are not merely subjective sensations, but direct correlates of an inner environment that has strayed from its optimal state of flow and clarity. The challenge then is not to attack these manifestations with aggression, but to gently and patiently understand their origins. What habits, what emotional patterns, what ways of being are creating the conditions for this inner climate to become turbulent or stagnant? This deep self-inquiry is the fundamental first step. Many approach these bodily signals with a sense of urgency, seeking a quick method to simply eliminate the symptom. Yet, true and lasting transformation does not come from superficial removal, but from a profound understanding and rebalancing of the inner conditions. To genuinely transform the physical expression, we must first attend to the invisible architecture of our internal state. This includes the patterns of thought we allow to occupy our mind, the emotional currents we navigate, and the subtle energetic habits we sustain, often unconsciously, throughout our days. The fat belly, the bad cholesterol, the challenges with regulating sugar, these are not enemies to be destroyed by external force alone. They are intricate feedback mechanisms offering a profound teaching about the current state of our inner climate. To address them effectively, one must cultivate a heightened state of awareness, tuning into the subtle vibrations and messages emanating from within. This allows us to move from a reactive mode, constantly fighting symptoms, to a proactive mode of self-mastery, shaping the inner environment that cultivates radiant health. Root disruption. Every visible effect has an invisible cause. Just as a river's clarity depends on the purity of its source, the manifestations of physical disharmony, whether in blood or in accumulation of form, point to a deeper root disruption. We speak often of the symptoms, but rarely do we trace them back to their origin with sufficient depth and discipline. The body's wisdom is ancient and profound. It knows how to maintain equilibrium, how to transform sustenance into energy, how to cleanse itself efficiently, unless this fundamental intelligence is continuously interrupted. The challenges in regulating inner sweetness, or managing the circulating densities within our vessels, or the accumulation of form around the midsection, often stem from a prolonged disharmony in the natural rhythm of intake, assimilation, and release. Imagine a finely tuned instrument. If even one string is perpetually out of alignment, the entire symphony becomes distorted. Our metabolic system is precisely such an instrument. It demands consistency, it demands pure and vital sustenance, and it demands periods of both activity and profound rest. The disruption often begins subtly, a continuous input of stimulation without adequate pauses for digestion, reflection, and proper integration. A constant demand on the system, whether through overconsumption, through mental strain, or through a lack of deep regenerative stillness. Over time, these consistent, subtle misalignments accumulate, creating an environment where efficiency diminishes. The internal engines that process nourishment become sluggish. The channels designed to transport and cleanse become obstructed. Consider the journey of energy. When energy is meant to flow freely, to transform and to nourish every cell, yet it encounters continuous resistance, it begins to seek alternative pathways or accumulate in unnatural locations. The fat belly is often an indicator of this obstructed flow, an energetic storage that serves as a symptom of a deeper metabolic resistance or digestive burden. The internal regulation of energy sources, like sugar, becomes unstable, not because the body is inherently broken, but because the foundational principles of its natural operation have been continually violated or ignored. Understanding this root disruption is the essence of true healing. It is not about isolating one symptom and targeting it, but about discerning the deeper currents that have shifted from their natural course. This inquiry requires patience, a willingness to look beyond the obvious, and a profound respect for the body's interconnected wisdom. When we identify and address these root imbalances, the so-called problems begin to naturally recede, not by force, but by the quiet re-establishment of their original harmonious flow. Conscious rhythm, there is a singular truth, a potent wisdom distilled to its very essence, that carries the profound capacity to recalibrate our internal climate and address the root disruptions we have observed. This wisdom, if cultivated with unwavering attention, acts like a singular leaf, a catalyst for the body's innate power to resolve imbalance. It is not an external elixir nor a complicated secret, but a principle woven into the very fabric of our being, easily accessible yet often overlooked: the power of conscious rhythms. Conscious rhythm is the deliberate attunement to the body's natural cycles, to the ancient pulse that governs growth, decay, rest, and activity. It acknowledges that the quality of life, and indeed the physical manifestations within our being, are deeply influenced not just by what we do, but by when we do it, and with what intent and awareness we carry through these actions. It applies universally to how we take in nourishment, how we engage our bodies in movement, and how we invite deep stillness into our lives. When it comes to addressing an unruly inner sweetness or accumulated density or persistent heaviness, the application of conscious rhythm involves a mindful engagement with the cycles of ingestion and rest. It's about cultivating awareness of the body's natural periods of metabolic cleansing and repair. It is the wisdom to pause, to allow genuine hunger to arise, rather than merely responding to external cues or emotional prompts. It is the discerning choice of not simply what to put into the vessel, but when and how often to nourish, aligning with the body's deepest biological clock. This profound practice of conscious rhythm challenges the modern habit of constant consumption, constant activity, and constant stimulation. It invites periods of true digestive rest, allowing the internal machinery to reset, to cleanse, and to resensitize. When this internal reset occurs, the body's inherent capacity to process sugar, to regulate lipids, and to optimize energy storage is naturally amplified. The system begins to function as it was designed to, with effortless efficiency, gradually dissolving what is accumulated or out of balance. The one leaf is this single, disciplined recognition and respect for internal timing and flow. It is the conscious decision to eat only when the body truly calls for it, to engage in activity with purpose, and to honor the sacred necessity of deep, restorative stillness. This rhythmic alignment allows the body's intelligence to operate without constant interruption, thus fostering its miraculous capacity to correct and restore its fundamental balance, paving the way for profound internal transformation and lightness. Body's intelligence. Our physical form is an embodiment of profound intelligence far beyond the scope of intellectual comprehension. It is a system designed for balance, for healing, and for continuous self-regulation. When an apparent dis-ease manifests, be it a challenge in metabolic processes or an accumulation of unnecessary matter, it is not primarily an act of aggression against the body, but rather a profound call from the body's innate intelligence seeking our attention. It is communicating that certain conditions, critical for its optimal function, have been neglected or are out of harmony. Imagine a highly sensitive natural spring. Its water remains pure unless external pollutants continuously invade its source or debris constantly clogs its outflow. When the polluting elements are consciously removed and the blockages gently cleared, the spring's innate wisdom enables it to purify itself, to naturally return to its clear, free-flowing state. Our bodies function in a remarkably similar fashion. They possess a sophisticated, self-correcting wisdom that only needs the appropriate environment to activate and maintain. When we integrate the conscious rhythm into our daily living, offering periods of metabolic rest, of thoughtful sustenance, and of consistent attention, we empower this inherent intelligence. The body, unburdened by constant digestion and stimulation, is then free to redirect its formidable energetic resources towards internal repair, detoxification, and the precise recalibration of its hormonal and enzymatic systems. This is the miraculous process. The intelligence itself clears what is unwanted, regulates what is out of balance. This principle extends to the regulation of blood sugar. When the system is constantly responding to fluctuating inputs, the sensitivity of the internal communication signals, like those governing glucose uptake, can diminish over time. However, when we apply periods of mindful break from ingestion, or when we choose sustenance that aligns with natural energetic demands, the body's cells regain their original sensitivity, naturally absorbing what they need without excess. The intelligent response is restored. The removal of bad cholesterol or the dissolving of accumulated form similarly relies on this inner intelligence. These are often manifestations of an overwhelmed system struggling to process and eliminate efficiently. By supporting the body with pure sustenance and intentional rhythmic flow, we empower its capacity to cleanse and transform, gently dissolving what is extraneous and restoring a clean, free internal flow. This fundamental reliance on the body's deep wisdom is the most powerful path to sustainable health and vitality. Pure sustenance. The fuel we offer our body, the very sustenance from which it constructs and replenishes itself, fundamentally shapes its internal operations. Just as a plant draws its vitality from fertile soil, our cells require nourishment that resonates with our original design, pure, unadulterated life force. In our pursuit of health, particularly in harmonizing blood regulation and dissolving accumulated internal densities, understanding the true nature of sustenance moves us beyond mere consumption to conscious and intelligent fueling. Consider that the food is not merely calories, it is information. It carries a vibration, an energetic signature. Processed foods, stripped of their original life force, altered by artificial additives, and far removed from their natural state, offer confused instructions to our intricate cellular machinery. They burden the digestive system, introduce disruptive elements, and often contribute to metabolic confusion, where the body struggles to discern proper energetic signals, leading to imbalances in sugar metabolism or the deposition of unnecessary fats. True sustenance, then, echoes the principles of simplicity and direct connection to the earth. Look to foods that remain largely as nature intended them: vibrant fruits, deep green vegetables, wholesome grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. These provide not only the vital micronutrients and fiber necessary for healthy metabolism, but also the energetic purity that aligns with the body's intuitive processes. They support the effortless flow of energy, enabling the body to efficiently utilize fuel and properly cleanse. For example, when addressing the regulation of inner sweetness, the body responds profoundly to nourishment that releases its energy slowly and consistently, preventing sudden surges that overwhelm its regulatory mechanisms. And for managing the internal waters and accumulations, foods rich in natural fiber aid in cleansing and elimination, supporting the channels responsible for metabolic purity. It's about consciously choosing what actively assists the body's wisdom rather than obstructing it.